WAC Commissioner Jeff Hurd actually flew down to Bakersfield, California to meet with New Mexico State officials and head coach Marvin Menzies to discuss this incident after it occurred Thursday night. And he issued a statement earlier on Friday saying essentially that Renaldo Dixon would be suspended for 1 game and Casey Ross Miller for 2 games. He also did say in that statement that he's requesting more information from Utah Valley in terms of their game management in this instance and obviously going forward. I've spoken to Utah Valley officials and their campus police and administration. They're going to review this videotape to see if there's any further action to deal with the students and fans that were involved in this altercation.
What's next here for both schools?
Well, it's interesting. They could actually face each other in the WAC final. These are the 2 best teams in the WAC, and it's a little troubling, obviously, for New Mexico State. They're going to be without these 2 players against Bakersfield, and then Ross Miller will not be able to play in their game against Grand Canyon. But the bigger picture here is that automatic berth that's at stake in the WAC tournament that will be played in Las Vegas. Utah Valley and New Mexico State could meet again. Now, the big key here is that there doesn't seem to be an issue, for the most part, between the 2 schools, even though you did see Casey Ross Miller throw the basketball at Hunsaker. You didn't see Utah Valley respond. You know, this was really not a brawl between those 2 schools. It was the fans and New Mexico State. And I think that's what everyone's getting at is you've got the fans sort of coming into a situation where you've got a hot team in New Mexico State. You've got a potential for a dangerous situation. And we've seen this before where there's potential for this. You know, you had actually at Arkansas earlier this season where a fan was challenging a member of Kentucky. And the Kentucky player actually held back in that situation. We obviously had the situation between Marcus Smart and Texas Tech. Now, that wasn't the fans coming onto the court, but it was a fan and a player. Look, on your ticket, it never says you're allowed to go onto the playing surface. You're not allowed to. We've allowed it to happen, though, in the sport.
When you first saw this, your reaction was what?
That it certainly could be a dangerous situation, that suspensions were certainly going to come from this, and this could be the tipping point because you had, you know, brawl ensuing and fisticuffs coming out of this. And the problem here is that the students involved in this in Utah Valley, that they're going to say that they were prompted by New Mexico State, but they have nothing to do with this. They had no reason to be on the court until that team is off the floor. As Tony Kornheiser said, Duke has been involved in these kinds of things where they have to be sort of cordoned off and protected. They need to have, as he said, that safe passage to the locker room. The officials, the opposing players, and their staff. I can tell you this, that Arizona's been in this situation twice this season, at Cal and at Arizona State. Their athletic director, Greg Byrne, told me that in the Pac-12 meetings in the spring, he wants to propose, if not a fine like the SEC has, then some sort of technical foul or penalty against the school, if it's not financial, something that happens, because they cannot afford this to happen going forward, and they've been a victim of it twice this season.
You mentioned right there, big picture, what is the future of court storming?
Well, I do think more conferences are going to take this up in their conference meetings in the spring. I don't know if they'll go to the extreme of the fines that the SEC has handed down, but it has certainly prevented it from occurring. You're going to see at times in the SEC when there's a big victory, the players will actually go to the crowd and congratulate them and sort of, you know, enjoy that festivity after the game. I don't know if we'll go to the fining situation, but I do think you'll see some sort of penalty going forward. And more than anything, there has to be better game management. In that video, you'll really only see one police officer who comes onto the scene, sort of gets that official out of the way, but they can't stop it. And at a school like Utah Valley, you're not going to have the security to sort of prevent all of that. You're just not going to have the numbers, the bodies at a school like that to do that.